The topic is going to be transforming procurement's potential, shifting from cost center to strategic value generator. The moderator for this session is going to be Mr. Prashant Choube, Associate Vice President, Solution Advisory, Icertis. Sir, can we have you on the dais? And he is going to introduce all our panel members. So let's give the entire panel a huge, huge round of applause, everyone. Come on.
Hope I'm audible at the back. All good? Right. Just a second. Okay, so why don't you guys all come up? I'll do the introductions while we are getting seated. Right. So while they take their come, Ashish, Alok, please be here. Yeah. Okay. So do you guys know which is the largest bakery organization in the world? Any guesses? The answer is here, guys. So we have Ashish. He is from Grupo Bimbo, which is the largest bakery organization in the world, and they entered India in 2019, and within 3 years they achieved a leadership position in the bakery business in the country. They are a huge supplier to a lot of our quick service restaurants in India. Now Ashish comes with a very rich background in FMCG, supply chain management and procurement. He's worked with organizations like ITC, Nestle, and most recently he has been working on harmonization of 3 different brands which this company had acquired. So a big round of applause for Ashish. Thank you for joining us. Our next guest, and I'm not going in the sequence, so my apologies for that. Let's keep it impromptu. So, you know which is the highest motorable road in the world? Any guesses? You can just shout out. Leh, very nice. So, do you also know that the world's highest microwave tower is at a height of 18,300 feet, again at Khardukla Pass. And that tower was built for the Indian Army by this company called RS Infraprojects. And we have Mr. Nishchal from RS Infra who is joining us. He again has got a very rich experience in organizations like CET, SRF, DLF, etc. And I'm sure we'll be greatly benefited by his expertise on the subject of procurement. So welcome, Nishchal. Our next guest, very interesting, and I did not know this before the panel. So this is a 175-year-old organization. They started off with printing of banknotes, diversified into other secure documents like passports, etc. They're also credited with the first chip-based card, first commercially available SIM card, and now they're into digital security, currency technology, and financial platform. So I'll welcome Alok, who leads the supply chain operations for the India Competency Center at Giesecke+Devrient. Alok, welcome. And finally, Shelly. So again, all of us went through this turbulent time around COVID where people were rushing around for oxygen and concentrators and so on. Right? One interesting fact that I found was that with 1 liter of liquid oxygen, you can produce 850 liters of gas in oxygen. Right? And Shelly's company is a leader in the world of commercial gases like oxygen, nitrogen, and other ones. And Shelly herself is the head of procurement, and she has worked on multiple projects around complex oil and gas deployments and so on. She is also an advocate for women's leadership. So welcome Shelly to this panel. Thank you. All right, so with that, let's get started with today's discussion. So our world of procurement, I think, is a very interesting one, right? In our world, agility means getting 5 people's approval. If I have to buy a stapler, our idea of fun means a 10-page vendor risk questionnaire, right? But then all of you who are present in this room, I think you are the unsung heroes of the organization. I have a lot of respect for you because of what you're doing, right? You are the ones who are keeping the supply chain running. You are the ones who are quietly putting in efforts to save money. You are the ones who are avoiding risk. So a big round of applause for all the people in this room. Thank you for your contributions. Now, in today's discussion, we'll try and figure out how we can bring procurement out of the shadows, right? I talked about us being unsung heroes. So how do we claim our glory? How do we get recognized for the efforts that we are putting in? How do we make sure that procurement becomes a strategic value driver rather than just a back office function? So while we discuss that, let's first understand what exactly does it mean to be moving away from a cost center to a strategic value driver. So my question will be to Alok. Alok, what do you think is this whole thing about strategic value driver mean?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I mean, I just add few things about Giesecke+Devrient, just one topic. So if you want to know the Giesecke+Devrient, you just type in Google has invented the SIM card. So you see the patent is with Giesecke+Devrient. Of course, it's a niche industry, so probably many people doesn't know about it, but it's something that the patent owns with G&D. Now coming back to the question, thank you for putting up this and glad to be here. Always, way back when I shifted from my responsibility from a code robotics programmer to the procurement, I was thinking, oh, is it a good decision, bad? And then I worked for 2-3 years making orders, and then I said, oh, it's a backdoor position. I mean, what am I doing here? You know, being after BTech and then MBA, what am I doing here? But then, now if I look back, and now during COVID time, so I remember that day when the production line was supposed to be stopped. And the head of business called me, Alok, what should be done? And for continuous 6 months, we have been talking on a regular calls that what has to be done. So procurement being a backseat function, now it's a driving function. It was from passive organization, passive function, now it's in a proactive function. If your organization doesn't have a procurement function, which is proactive, you will not be able to manage the supply chain relations. You will not be able to manage the risk and resilience. It's all done. You just take the example of recent duty tariff changes. So everyone was like, oh my God, what has happened? What has happened? Whom should we contact? So it's procurement. Go for it. So just check what is inside the contract. What are the duties and taxes? So this is how the mindset have changed. So procurement is not only cost, it's actually managing the complete product life cycle. Complete product life cycle. Everywhere you see, if you go for should cost, if you go for will cost, if you want to develop a new mobile phone, you need the procurement guy since day one, not at when you need a product, right? Because if the procurement guy is not connected to an R&D person, then probably you end up in making a mobile phone at $5,000 and your sales guy says, sorry, I don't need that. So that's how things have changed. And we should feel proud that we are part of this function. Thank you so much.
Sure. Ashish, would you like to add anything to what Alok just said in terms of being strategic value drivers?
So I will start from where most of us started our journey. As a procurement, when most of us started our journey, it was only about buying. People used to come to us and go and buy this, go and buy that, and all of that. But all of it has changed now, and most of the leadership discussions in the boardrooms are not on cost with the procurement. It is on what are the drivers and how can we bring the bottom line. So top line is where sales is looked upon. Bottom line is where we are looked upon. It is not only the procurement function, but also across the value chain where we can bring and deliver the efficiencies. And that is where I think procurement as a function is changing. We have seen a lot of strategic interventions in terms of bringing partners to win. When we say partners to win, it also means that, let's say if you have to go and build a new factory, can you bring someone adjacent to your factory so all your supply chain costs are going down? And this is where the strategic partnership and alliance of the procurement team will add value to the businesses. Another point where most of us look at us, and Alok has covered a lot of it, is sustainability. Nobody in the world knows what is sustainability. Procurement was the first team where everybody came and caught them that, okay, nobody knows, so why don't you do sustainability? And now there are sustainability teams, and there are a lot of organizations, including ours, where sustainability is part of procurement itself. So that is, I would say, a big shift in what we used to, let's say, do earlier. Another thing on the cost part is not only the cost, but how do we do price risk mitigation? I am in a sector where commodity price keep on changing, and how do I protect our business because the MRP doesn't change? So how we can get into long-term contracts, or how do we do backward integration for raw material hedging? That is a very important part of the procurement, not only day-to-day buying. So these are some of the, I think, shifts which has happened over past few years.
Right. Thanks for that. Now, what happens is that we as humans, our brains are programmed to simplify things, right? Whenever we look at somebody, we quickly form a perception, and that perception probably stays until we are proven wrong otherwise. I think the same thing holds true when it comes to organizations, right? They have a way of looking at different functions, and they have a picture in mind that this is what this function is supposed to do. Now, typically when we talk about procurement, they are looked as a tool for cost reduction, right? This is the guy I go to when there is a cost to be reduced or a negotiation that has to happen. So, Nishchal, my question to you will be, what are the key mindset shifts that are required in order to enable the procurement transformation or change the perception of procurement?
Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to my fellow panelists. Let's start with lighter note. Being purchaser, I went for an interview. Interviewer asked me, see, we need a person who is responsible for this position. So then I said that I am the most responsible person because in my previous company, whenever something goes wrong, they tell me, you are the responsible for this. So purchaser, you can say everybody, being it is production company or project company and all that. Every time it is that material is not available, we are not doing this job because material is not available. So earlier thing was cost center, because see, every purchasing has no value in your revenue generation. It was a operational cost, be it your purchasing, be it your HR function, engineering function, these all are operational costs, not the revenue generation. So mindset slowly is being changed. I am into transmission business, in you can say EPC business, where supplies itself is 65 to 70% of your revenue. So this is the shift, change from the mindset of entire value chain, where you create value for the company whenever supply is required. So earlier it was a indent based purchasing only. Whenever requirement comes, you are chip into it, take quotations and deliver those things. Now you need to be at your toes from the day when tendering is floated. When you are not even getting those contracts and you are into that thing, and you start discussing with your suppliers and all that for those costs. So this is shift change. Right from the tendering process, you are involved. When tender comes, when contract comes, you are involved, each and every one. You need to know your projects, because what is the sequencing, what is the deliveries, because it is staggered deliveries, it is not one shot. Entire projects, you need to see that the product which required at which stage, you have to deliver that. So you have to have a different kind of structure now. People recognize you and take your inputs for your revenue generation also. So this is the thing, this is mindset I have seen change in the organization.
Right. Shali, would you want to add something to what Nishchal just said in terms of changing the mindset and how people look at procurement?
First of all, rather than changing the mindset, I believe the one who is handling procurement should change their mindset. That they are the value generating function. They are the one who is bringing value savings onto the table. You are the one who is not only accountable, but also contributing to the OIR ratios of the companies as well. So until we'll not have that mindset, the company will not shift with that, in that direction. So I would mention from my experience itself, I have worked in sourcing, supply chain, project, operations, now back to procurement. I've seen aspects of business from all the lenses. I personally believe a strong collaboration between operations, sales, and procurement is the key for a successful business. So rather, the other function or the business should invite procurement in the discussions. I believe you should have a mindset that you have to go and meet customers, understand their requirements so that you can bring in those ideas, how you can reduce cost or optimize cost, or how we can increase the customer margin in an organization. So this is what I personally do. I have worked with customers, I've worked with suppliers as well. The more you understand the wavelength in both the directions, the better you are in a position to place yourself and take decisions. And the company also then move in the direction that yes, procurement needs to be there on the table for the discussions. That's what I personally do. And that's what Air Liquide do. And that's what Baker or G also has started doing it. Yeah.
I think that's very important, and in fact it preempted the other comment that I was about to make, that while I was listening to you, Nishchal, that a lot of times procurement waits for the business to come to them and ask for something, and that's when we come into action and we start delivering value. But what I think Shelly highlighted was, can we be proactive? Can we go to the business and tell them, look, this is what is happening in our organization. These are the points where probably there could be some cost reduction, there could be some value enhancement, or maybe some risk mitigation that can be done. I think once you are getting into that frame, you will see more and more your opinions being sought for different activities in the organization. So thank you for that. Another point is, I think our life has been now becoming more of a roller coaster, right? There was COVID, the example that Alok talked about. After that, there was the Suez Canal crisis, there was Russia-Ukraine war, there was a crisis in Middle East, you had the Trump tariffs, then you had the latest India-Pakistan issue. So there are a lot of such disruptions that are happening in the supply chain. Now, a lot of people see that as a problem, but Alok, can procurement function look at this as an opportunity to again grow into a different role or a bigger role?
See, I'll say like this. So whenever there's a challenges, so there are opportunities. You just need to wait for the right time to grab that. So again, I'll give the same example. So the COVID, when people were really struggling to sell the machines, at the same time, procurement was working day and night to get the production up and running. So you consider anything, isn't it? Like for an example, now also with this duty change with US, so some of the industry is shifting the mindset, okay, that the duties is going to be after 90 days or so, it's going to be more, for an example, 28 or 32%. Let's ship as much products as we can. So I can also talk about our company. We are producing the currency processing machine. So we are shipping to US and said, okay, let's ship at least, let's double the capacity. And now you think that this is where the procurement comes in. Wherever there are challenges, we go back to history. Whenever there are any uncertainties, there where the procurement role comes in. And there we have always proved that we are on the driving. So everywhere it's like sales driving the organization. It's a front runner. I would say yes, agreed. But at the same time, procurement as well. Because if you don't have machines, you cannot sell it. As simple as that. So, and this is again, I would say a mindset for a procurement person that whenever there's an opportunity, don't find the cause that why we can't do it. Because there's in COVID, I can do it. You find that how we can do it. So probably every one of us during COVID time have got at least a better experience, 10 times better experience in handling risk and resilience. Yeah, and this will continue. I mean, our next generation probably they will hear as a story, but for us it was a practical learning, I would say.
Sure, thanks. I think that's really helpful. Now, one thing that has been on top of all our minds and throughout the day we have been talking about is the role of technology. So, Shelly, I would want to ask you, what do you think is the role that technology can play in terms of enhancing the perception of procurement? Any specific tools, etc.?
Before that, I would like to add a point to Alok's comment as well. So I understand the challenges we are having in the geopolitical world as well. So high tariffs, yes, but we can think in the direction, can we increase Make in India? Can we qualify our suppliers in a direction where they can become come at a certain level that they can produce the same kind of product which any US entity or any China entity can do. So that means we have to focus more on the Make in India thing in that case. So it's, again, in challenges, the opportunity flourishes, and this is the direction that everyone should start looking at. On the technology front, I believe we all are in this AI phase, so everybody is so much fascinated to have, more integration of AI in our current organization. So yes, indeed, it is very much required because we want to make sure that we do things fast, but maintaining the quality as well. We don't want to go in a direction wherein we are compromising on the quality and adopting the technology and moving fast, and that will land us in a situation which none of us want to be. So yes, in terms of, I was hearing to Mr. Vivek this afternoon as well about, the smart contracts as well. I was at the booth outside as well with one of the company, I believe Power. I'm not able to recall the full name, but they are into this, how we can optimize and digitize our tail spends and indirect spends as well, because this is where the major cost gets swarmed up. And at the end of the day, we realize, or during the end of the year, we realize that yes, this much amount of cost we have already incurred, we could have saved more. So indeed, the tools are a necessity that every organization should strive for. I also understand the cost comes with it. So a business case study should happen, whether by implementing this, how many man hours we'll be able to reduce. And that man hour saving will result or will also bring out the budget for such digitization as well. So I believe every organization should strive for it and have a vision that moving in the direction of a technology does not mean that we are taking away anybody's job. No, we are creating more space for people to think in the direction where they can be utilized better rather than doing a manual intervention. So that's how I look at the technology front. Thank you.
Thanks. Ashish, would you also want to talk about some of the tools and technologies, probably beyond AI? I think everyone is talking AI, but are there other such opportunities, other such technologies in the market which we can benefit from?
So when it comes to food, there are a few requirements which are coming in from the customers. One of them is traceability, another is sustainability, and a lot of us claim sustainable oils, sustainable flour and all of that. So we are working with technologies, we are working with organizations like Earthworm, wherein they have satellite technology and they go and map the, let's say, palm oil plantations for us in Malaysia and Indonesia. And from that, we are able to get a data on whether we are buying deforestation-free palm oil or not, or whether we are buying, let's say, deforestation-free soya bean oil or not. So these are some of the technologies which are being used in the food industry. Apart from that, on traceability, we are working with certain solutions in India which can give us end-to-end traceability up to the farm level. And you can see a lot of organizations now claiming, for example, if you have eaten Ashirwad Atta, you can find a logo which says from where the wheat has come from. So that is the traceability solution which is available in the market and a lot of people are using. This is beyond AI. I would say there is a lot being talked about AI Copilot. Most of our organizations have bought that, but that is mostly used for drafting presentations and all of that. But when you go to the actual field and market, there are organizations and technologies which are working in India that can help us get to actual solutions. We are also working with GEP and there is Ariba available. There are different sources available for doing reverse auctions, e-auctions, RFIs, RFQs. These are some of the, I would say, tools which will be helpful for most of the procurement community to show transparency, because that is one of the major challenges when it comes to audit. So these are some of the tools which we have been using. There is a Wave. We also use Wave from McKinsey, wherein that is used to track how much productivity we are able to give, and that tracks the productivity from let's say an ideation stage to an actual realization stage. So there are productivity, a lot of organizations are currently on Excels, and all these Excels are all manual. So we have a technology in system because we are collating all the ideas which are being generated in the factories. So from these ideas, this comes to the head office, then we do a screening and implement the ideas with most of the value. So these are some of the tools which is, I would say, not linked to the AI. Ultimately, all the analysis will go to the AI, but then these are some basic tools which can be used.
Thanks for that. Now, there's one more aspect of procurement that often gets overlooked. So, if you see, right, the world of commerce is actually built on a foundation of contracts. Your procurement teams spend so much time negotiating these contracts, but then what happens after the contract is signed? A lot of places it is treated like yesterday's newspaper, right? Nobody knows where it is, or probably kept in some corner, some drawer. It could be a PDF in somebody's drive or somebody's local machine. So we are spending a lot of effort in some activity, but afterwards we are not deriving sufficient value out of it. So Alok, my question to you will be, what role can contract management play in delivering strategic value or creating an impact?
Yeah, I mean, as you rightly said, so contract is like yesterday's newspaper. Yeah, when I joined, I think GND. So the first day, second day, somebody came and Alok signed the contract. I said, okay, so I have not read. Oh, it's fine, all fine, it's all done. I said, I need at least 3 days to read the contract. And as going through the contract, I asked, can you tell me, there was a clause of back-to-back warranty. I said, why its warranty is only 1 year? He said, yeah, it's a standard clause. I said, what's the warranty with the customer? We have commitment. He said, I don't know. Okay, and what happens if the machine fails after 1 year? So will you give the warranty to customer, but you will not get the warranty from the supplier? So there's no clarity. What I always say is contract is not a legal paper, not at all. It's a business paper. Procurement should understand the complete business, starting from the scope. So we think that it's a legal document, you can write X number of clause and you just forget it. It's not the case. If you do not know the scope exactly, what is the scope, what you are going to do with the contract, then it's, how should I say, it's something a blind game. You are just signing something without knowing nothing. Now coming to this geopolitical stuff and risk and resilience. If your contract is not good enough, I was in Germany, I think when this tariff news came on in the newspaper, and suddenly the colleagues there said, oh, it is like from tomorrow it could be 28% duties. Who will pay this duty? So I said, okay, maybe it is there in the customer contract. You read the customer contract. It was written, so all the taxes will be governed by the customer if there are changes. Now see the, read the lines. It is written taxes. So customer said, sorry, it's taxes, it's not duties. You should have wrote taxes and duties. Yeah. And then we said, oh my God, this is so. So what I need to say is, the nitty-gritties of the clause has to be read properly, because whenever there's a risk, it comes to procurement. We are the problem solver, as you're saying, right? Kuch bhi problem, so go to procurement. We don't know. So machine doesn't work. Why you have not taken the warranty from supplier for 1 year? Why it's only for 1 year? Why there is no taxes and duties? So I would recommend, and I always say, contract is a business paper. It cannot be overlooked. At any cost it can be. So there can be a time to market and we are in a hurry or in a rush, but then you park, don't sign the contract. Take your time and get all the clause properly weighted. So don't depend on the legal. And I really liked the booths outside showing the contract management module, and probably it's going to help. And I was talking to one of the person that I would love to do this AI stuff because we have many contracts. Yeah. So as I said, contract is not just a paper. It's again a mindset. It's again something you have to really understand what is inside.
Sure. I think you have articulated it very well, that it's a proof of relationship rather than a kind of a straight jacket in which you are constrained. So Nishchal, in your organization, it's an EPC organization, and typically the EPC contract run into hundreds of pages, right? They are very huge contracts, and the project duration is also very long, right? It's multiple years, 5, 10 years that the contract is going to run for. So in such a scenario, how do you deal with contracts?
contracts, whenever we receive those contracts, so each and every aspect of it should be read properly. And when it comes to procurement of against those contracts, it's a multiple contracts you are doing with different utilities, different customers, and different timelines with different terms and conditions. So you have to see all those things critically. You have to imbibe those things in your procurement contracts so that it should be in line with those things. So procurement person needs to be very careful while reading those contracts, because there are certain terms and conditions. You need to see all those things. So we do use certain tools also to read those things, but yes, nowadays things are coming in a good direction, introduction of new technology and all that. So for procurement, these contracts, as far as terms and conditions are concerned, it is very important.
Right. Now, there's another aspect to the whole procurement function as it is, right? Procurement doesn't work in isolation. There are always, I think, one case that he was talking about is anytime something goes wrong, somebody comes to procurement, but also procurement proactively works with a lot of, almost every other department in the organization. So, Nishchal, what will be your tips on how procurement function can collaborate more effectively with other divisions in the organization?
As I said earlier, starting with tendering process. So at the time of tendering, you need to be involved in all those things. Whenever contracts comes, so first point of contract is your project division. So we have to sit with them, elaborate all these things according to timelines with your vendors, elaborate your schedules, project schedules. We call it L1, L2, L3 kind of thing, where you have different milestones to achieve. So at that time, you need to see those things. Another aspect is engineering department. Cost, you can say it is entire baby of purchase, but it is not. There are certain things which engineering also can involve and cut those costs in substation business especially. So involvement of those things, then terms and condition, you have to be with your finance department also, because you have to have those terms and condition according to your contracts. Your cash flow management is most important nowadays for every, even project companies is, it is more. So finance also you need to involve. So procurement is the nodal agency who can collaborate with all these things, even for inspection kind of thing. Whenever product is ready, you have to inspect at their premises, supplier premises only, because if it comes and something goes wrong, then it has certain value and your timelines goes off. So quality department, you have those department who is inspecting all those aspects. So you are the nodal agency. Proactively, you need to discuss with all departments, because they don't come to you in any case. Whenever problem comes, then only they will come to you. So it is your duty to go to those departments and take those inputs, and then your suppliers also will discuss when supplier parts will come.
Now, we talked about internal collaboration, but another important piece of the puzzle is the supplier. So, Shelly, in terms of external collaboration, does doing better SRM or supplier relationship management get you a seat at the strategy table?
Indeed. So, at the end of the day, the suppliers are partners. They have to work with you, you have to work with them. And it should flourish. It can only flourish when you will be transparent with them and they'll be transparent with you. This is what I learned in my short experience of life. And plus, the respect. The respect should be paramount. Like, you give respect, you get respect. So, whoever is working with you, the supplier, be it big ticket supplier, small ticket supplier, you work with them, you do transactions with them, you bring them onto the table, you negotiate with them, you negotiate TNCs with them, express what is there for them, and they express what is there for us, and then the deal is signed. But what after it? Good, doing the business, things are happening, things are moving. But what about the performance evaluation? That is a key. If we want to tell, okay, supplier, one, your performance is 100% good. They'll be motivated to work more with you, to bring in more value onto the table, to bring in more money onto the table as well, in terms of rebate and certain elements. But what about if you'll not evaluate them very often? They'll be in continuous transaction with you. You'll be okay with their work, and they'll be okay with your work. Things will move. But what about if something bad happens at that point of time? Therein, the continuous supplier performance evaluation is the key. To meet at a regular interval in a year, for example, if there are big ticket suppliers, every 6 months or 4 months, depend upon the medium scale or small scale suppliers, evaluate them with the help of all the functions, because at the end of the day, it's not procurement who is working with them, it is operations who is working with them, finance is working with them, logistics is working with them. In some cases, the sales as well during the tendering phase as well. So evaluate them by involving all the respective departments. Once the performance is aligned, bring them onto the table through a virtual meet or in office, conduct such sessions, tell them where they are good, acknowledge that, motivate them, but also the areas where they have to improvise. And also take the feedback, because that is also very important, because of course we are not picture perfect even if we are the customers as well. We also have a lot of room for improvement as well. So it's a two-way communication. Performance evaluation should happen, and there should be I'm sure every organization have their own set of structures. We call it supplier relationship management, we call it supplier performance evaluation, we call it supplier risk assessment as well, at a regular intervals, but it needs to be done. And it should be a two-way communication. It should not be like, okay, supplier, you did that, it's good, it's bad. Also be open for the feedbacks as well, so that can be a constructive evaluation in that case. And accordingly, you can decide on your volumes. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. So,
In TQM technology, we call it next process is customer. So whenever your different departments are there, they need deliveries, so you are the supplier to them, and supplier is your supplier only. But when you are going to pay them, so they are your customer. So when you say that, when you see your organization, next process is customer, so you can change the things in a better way.
sure. Thanks, Nishchal. So, in the interest of time, I think we'll have one quick rapid fire round, and we'll conclude with that. So, if you look ahead, what is that one skill or capability or technology that procurement leaders will need to remain relevant and influential in the future? We'll start with you, Alok, and we'll go across the board.
So
One skill or technology or capability.
I'll still say you can negotiate anything. So this mindset has to be carried away. So when I say negotiate, it's not about win or lose. You know, it's a win-win negotiation. That should be there.
So one point I think most of us agree, and it has been talked about, is the cross-functional collaboration and all of the value chain visibility and driving the productivities in that. Another part which I would say is we do a lot of good work in terms of developing these strategies, but we keep those strategies with us. Maybe it will be good if we go ahead and present those strategies to business, and they also understand what is that we are trying to do, and that will give a lot of visibility to the function as such.
I believe learning attitude, that's a must.
Learning attitude, definitely.
I would say that you know your job, you know your project better, so you can contribute in that fashion. Something I would like to put on one more thing. Operations Sindoor just concluded. Many of us wanted to be there. Okay, procurement is always a back-end job. So we are not cog in the wheel. We can create value. So we need to pride of our job. So procurement is not a back-end job. It's a front-end job, and we deliver. So in contribution of growth of our company, nation building is the one thing we are contributing. So it is need not to go to front. It's our duty, or it's being small citizen of this country. We can always have our thing in nation building process. So that's the thing. We are not cog in the wheel. We are a big chunk in the growth of our company and our country. Thank you.
Thanks. Great thoughts indeed. And I think I personally learned a lot from this panel, and I'm very confident that you all will be able to take some of these thoughts and learnings into your day-to-day lives and help elevate the value of procurement in your organization. So with that, we'll conclude this panel. A big round of applause for our esteemed panelists and the audience. Thank you.
Yes, everyone, I believe they deserve a huge round of applause. That was quite insightful session. Please, everybody, yes. So please be with us. We would like to present a small token of appreciation as well.